Why Jesus Was Created, Part 2. So if you haven't saw the first video, go back and watch that one and then come back and watch this one. So once we get into the aspect of the state, the government, controlling Christianity, the reason why now Jesus has to become the forefront and his doctrine, and the doctrine has to be changed so that people started to believe that they could never obtain salvation through following the law, which clearly, as demonstrated in the first version, this first part one of this video, that there were many within the Bible who went to Abraham's bosom, the original heaven that was created by the Jewish people, their version of heaven, although many cultures had their own versions of heaven, and they were very similar to the Jewish versions, whereas the Egyptians had the field of reeds, and you either went to, you either would cease to exist or you went to the field of reeds. Whether you went and joined Marduk and lived in heaven with him through the Babylonians, or you cease to exist. Or in the Zoroastrian religion, where you either go to heaven with Ahura Mazda, or you go to a fiery pit with Agramenyum. Either way, these ideas were there. The Greeks had the idea of Hades, where there was Elysium, but yet there was Tartarus and many other levels of heavens and hells. So these ideas was already present. So the Jewish people already had a heaven, but once it came under rulership of government, and they saw, and Theodosius saw that this type of religion could control the minds of people and control the actions of people, but through their dedication to it, if they are fearful of a hell, no matter how good they are, no matter what they do, if they ever stray from this religion, if they do not believe in this God, then they will ultimately go to hell. So the idea of grace was created in order, after Theodosius, in order for the government to be able to control the people of that time frame and make sure that they remain faithful to government, as well as faithful to by being faithful to the religion for their own sake of going to heaven. So the ideas had to be squashed that even though Elizabeth and Zechariah maintained the law, Job maintained the law, Noah maintained the law, Abraham maintained the law, David, a man after God's own heart, righteous and blameless. Even though all these people maintained the law and dealt and committed their animal sacrifices to be forgiven for sins, there had to be a way to keep the people in line. And that way became through the creation of Jesus. You see, like I said in the first video, when Vespasian ordered for Jesus to be created, this new docile version of Judaism, to be created, his goal was not to control the people through that religion. His goal was simply to cause the people to stop revolting. But as time goes on, and now the Christians are fighting amongst Christians, the Jews are still creating revolts in the Roman Empire. Constantine sought to solidify Christianity, to stop the revolts. And he solidified it under the Orthodox that he found already within his military and within some of the dignitaries around him, as well as within his mother. So by solidifying it under one rulership, under one group, the Orthodox Christians in the Roman government, he thought that this would stop the conflicts. It didn't necessarily stop the conflicts still remained, but it created a power base by which Theodosius could build upon. And as Theodosius built upon that, future Roman emperors would build the same, and future popes and other governments would also do the same. So over the next 12 to 1400 years, it became more solidified that the only way you can obtain heaven is by going through Jesus, that his sacrifice is more meaningful than this God just saying, I forgive you. That his sacrifice was more meaningful than people sacrificing animals in the same way that they had done for 2,000 years prior to this Christianity ever being created, and those people still obtaining some levels of a heaven within their beliefs, that we need people to only believe in this format. We know they knew that it contradicted itself within its own writings, that Jesus told them that they had to uphold to the law. But still, they know that people are sheep. They know that people will listen to whatever the priests say, follow whatever the priests say. And if they don't, especially in the eras of time frame that we're talking about, that the military would kill them, that the government would slay them, that they will be placed in prison, separated from their families, lose their businesses and lose their lands and all other things, and lose their reputations. Galileo went against the church as far as the earth not being the center of our solar system, the center of the universe. His reputation was damaged. He lost his ability of freedom. He was jailed, and they threatened the life of his daughter, and he finally capitulated. Many others who had found discoveries that contradicted the Bible had to hide those. Copernicus never published his writings until after he died. Many others had to hide their findings if they thought that it went against the church, or send them out written anonymously. The church maintained a powerful military and a powerful influence over government around the Western world. And because of that, they were able to control the people. That is why Jesus was created. That is the reason why you cannot follow the law. And it doesn't make any sense. One of the reasons why we deconstruct them is because if an all-powerful, all-loving God was truly powerful and loving, if he did exactly what he says in his book, that he knows the hearts of men, he would have no need to ask for animal sacrifice, and he certainly wouldn't need a human sacrifice of himself to himself for the evil that he created. According to Isaiah, he created the calamity. He created the situation of putting a damn beautiful tree that looked good for food right in front of two people who wouldn't know the difference between good or evil, who didn't have the knowledge of such. So how would they even know? He entrapped them and then blamed them, and continued to blame people to this day. And then sacrificed himself, but he was only dead for 3 days, and then he went to heaven. That's not a sacrifice. If you sacrifice, that means you lose something constantly. If Jesus was still in hell burning and burning and burning until the end of time, or until Armageddon happens, and then he gets to come free and fight this battle and go to heaven, that would be a sacrifice. But being at the right hand of God is not a sacrifice. You went and spent 2 minutes in a contradictory state, either in Abraham's bosom or to the prisoners in Abaddon. Which one did you do? Because they're contradictory. You spent 2 minutes, and then you up there at the pleasure palace. It's not a sacrifice. You're not one at all. But the fact that your God requires a blood sacrifice, it does not put your religion above others who just say that their God forgives you. Their God knows your heart. Their God sees that you have repented by changing the way you act, by changing the way you treat people, by changing the way you think. To me, those religions are at a higher standard. It has a higher degree of morality than yours that required a human sacrifice. Your human sacrifice doesn't make you better. It actually makes you worse. So y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.